Good morning, everyone. I'm going to open the May 19th, 2020 meeting of the Steamship Authority Board of Governors. I'm going to first read a recording announcement and inform everyone that Steve Batty of All Media Productions is making a video and audio recording of today's meeting and public session for Martha's Vineyard Community Television, MVTV. Also like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the Authority's Communication Director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting as well. If anyone else is making an audio recording of today's meeting, please identify yourself by pressing the raise your hand icon on Zoom, or if you're joining by phone, pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you're recognized, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Rich.
Rich, MV Times.
Thank you. And oops. Where did you go? Noah.
This is Noah from the Gazette.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's all we've got.
That's it. Thank you. Also going to read a statement regarding remote participation. In response to Governor Baker's executive orders concerning the necessity to conduct public meetings in line with social distancing guidelines during the current state of emergency involving the COVID-19 pandemic, all board members are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance would be unreasonably difficult. All board members are participating in the meeting via Zoom video conferencing. All members will be clearly audible to each other. As a result of the members' participation remotely, any and all votes taken today shall be by roll call vote. So thank you all for that. And at this point, we move into our board meeting, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Davis. We have the minutes to approve as well.
Yeah, so the first item on today's agenda would be the approval of the minutes from April 28th, 2020 meeting.
Thank you. Do any of the members have any edits, modifications, deletions, corrections to make to these minutes?
No.
Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Make a
So
motion.
moved.
I'll second it.
And a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Jones, aye.
Wilson, aye.
Tierney, aye.
Randy, aye.
Malkin, aye. Thank you all very much. Okay, Port Council report.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is well. Starting to feel a little bit like early spring. So we had our meeting on, let's see, May 6th, and obviously by Zoom call as well. And just like the April meeting, it was very much focused on COVID-19 and its impacts. You know, a few highlights from our meeting. You know, it was nice to you know, so there was the actual impact of COVID-19 to the April numbers versus kind of what was expected, and understanding where things stood with that was enlightening. You know, I think, you know, there was some talk of even heavier losses, and I think the number was about 5 million. Yeah, we also talked quite a bit about reservations going forward, and you know, Mark and Bob have been providing those numbers to us. So really understanding how, you know, later on in the summer, which is a big time for Steamship Authority revenues, what those numbers look like at this point versus this point last year is a really important, really important exercise at this point. Bob also went into some of the CARES Act funding opportunities and where things stand with those, and we did talk about the potential of assessments to the communities, and you know, one of our board members requested a better understanding and you know, looking at our Enabling Act and sort of presenting that to both the board and the Port Council to understand what specifically the Enabling Act says will happen in the event of a deficit. Understanding that there are ongoing conversations with administration and finance, with the Commonwealth, and you know, sort of what the next steps are. So having a better idea what the Enabling Act says and what our next steps are, that was a key point that George Balco brought up. And we also talked about, Jim was on the line, and we talked about a working group amongst both Port Council potentially and board members to, you know, dig into the finances and the impacts that COVID-19 are you know, the impacts of COVID-19 on operations and on revenues. And rather than sort of Port Council focusing on it with Port Council members and the board focusing with board members, having a joint Port Council and board working group or subcommittee that focuses on these issues. You know, we certainly, the Port Council would be in support of that concept. So that's all I have. Happy to take any questions. And I don't know if there's any other Port Council members on the line. You know, if there's anything I missed or anything they want to say, I'm happy to hand it over to them too.
Thank you.
Great. Any
Welcome,
questions?
Yeah, we don't see any other Port Council members on the line, or at least we can quickly identify their phone numbers as. So.
All right. Well, if that takes care of that, thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time on that.
If I may, in this
Yeah.
regard, while Ed's still here, the last board meeting that we had, there was a discussion regarding scheduling for bi-weekly meetings of the board instead of the weekly meetings. And when we start looking at the calendar, we realized that bi-weekly meeting would end up falling on June 2nd. And so we would have the regularly scheduled Port Council meeting on Wednesday, June 3rd. So I didn't know whether, you know, whether as part of the Port Council meeting, whether the board would choose to want to just participate in that meeting as opposed to doing a separate meeting on the 2nd or not.
Members?
It's fine by me.
I would leave that up to the chairman to find dates that are compatible. They don't have to be necessarily, you know, weekly at 10.
That's fine.
But you're talking about have a joint meeting, right?
Yeah, well, I think it'd be, I guess the thought I was having is perhaps it's the Port Council meeting and we'd make notice that the members would be attending as well. And talk with Ed about this yesterday, I guess it was. And, you know, he was okay with that concept as well. So I'll not speaking for him. He's still on the line here, so he can jump in.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, all are more than welcome on, sorry, Chairman.
That's okay.
So all are more than welcome to join in on our calls. If it is going to be a monthly thing, I would like to talk to the other Port Council members and bring it up at June's meeting, just so that they have an opportunity to say something. I don't think it would be an issue with them either. But
I think Ed makes sense, but from the point of view of the calendar, as well as the demands on time of the staff, I think it makes sense certainly for that June meeting to be a joint meeting.
agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. General Manager's report, Mr. Davis.
All right, well, in case I didn't say, good morning, everyone.
You did. Good morning.
Starting off with an update on COVID measures. Our vessel crews continue to do an exceptional job in cleaning the vessel interiors during and in between trips, paying attention to touch points and hard surfaces. We continue to assign crews to perform a deeper cleaning each evening on the vessels. Our terminal employees have been doing an exceptional job as well. With the terminal, they're cleaning the terminals, up to 3 times a day per shift. The buses are being cleaned every 4 hours, so we're continuing those efforts. We do continue our efforts to source hand sanitizer, such as Purell. Unfortunately, the replacement cartridges that fit our dispensers have been backordered for some time. We were able to source some stands with the pop-up wipes. We've installed those units at each of our terminals and on board the vessels as well. We continue to be sourcing masks from as many opportunities that we have. We have been able to receive some of the cloth surgical masks, and also we've been sourcing cloth masks for our employees. So that way they all have a sufficient supply, so that way they can, on the cloth ones, they can clean them and rotate them and make sure that they have those available for themselves. And in coordination with our health, safety, quality, and environmental manager, our maintenance department is preparing stands for some liquid hand sanitizer that we were able to source. Unfortunately, that hand sanitizer did not come in a dispenser. It came in a 55-gallon drum. So we've gotten gallon jugs with pumps on them that will be filling and putting out at some of the strategic locations on those for those units. But we continue our efforts in terms of trying to get materials. Cleaning supplies, and that I'm informed that we're in good shape with that we're able to continue to source those. Most recently, we were able to identify a electrostatic disinfectant sprayer that we placed orders for to be able to have for the terminals and the vessels. But the lead time on that is it's going to be a couple months probably before we see those. So as we get closer, we'll inform the board as to when they're coming. Signage, we continue to place signs up as appropriate in terms of social distancing, remaining in your vehicles. The advisory from the hospital still is out there, I believe. The flu prevention tips, hand washing tips and the like. We did post the notice about mandatory masks. Not only on our website, but also at the terminals in Hyannis and Woods Hole. We have one of our highway signs there with that displaying those messages. On the Nantucket route, we do continue to have suspended driver services, although we are, as we ramp up here, we're going to be looking at perhaps for the trucking industry to try to facilitate it. It helps our operation if we're able to drive the vehicles on. We can make decisions as to getting people onto the passengers and passenger cars onto the boats with the ability to be able to drive trucks onto a later trip. And so that's something we're looking at, and we'll probably be instituting not too far off here. We continue to put our information on our learning management system for our employees. I think we're over 3,000 courses that have been completed at this point. They range from, how to wash your hands to, dealing with the stress related to COVID. So it's pretty wide-ranging. We're using as many sources as possible. CDC, our EAP provider has provided us some materials, and as well as from the Commonwealth. So we continue to have our vessel crews at the beginning of their watch be given a wellness check. by a trained medical professional. Shoreside personnel are given a questionnaire, which they need to complete and give to their supervisor prior to being given clearance to return to work. Most importantly, we've told our employees, continue to tell our employees that in no circumstances should they be coming into the work if they're sick, not only for their safety, but also for the safety of their coworkers as well as our patrons. As I mentioned earlier, we do have our dedicated landing page for the updates on our website. And also we ask that people continue to monitor our Facebook and Twitter accounts, our e-news, and also the local media outlets in terms of any updates that come up. There are some additional measures. I guess, does anyone have any questions regarding the activities to date? I guess would be a stopping point here. Rob?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment about driver services for us. I've heard from a lot of trucking companies whose operation depends on it, and it's very difficult, as you know, to continue to operate without the driver services just because they're not, it's totally different over here than it is on the vineyard, and they're just not set up that way. So the quicker we can get that back into place somehow, the better. Thank you.
We're just coming up with the procedures on how to handle that. And the fact is, these are the same drivers that we see day in, day out. You know, they're around the terminals every day. So,
thank you.
Mara?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, do we have somebody charged with reviewing the governor's mandatory rules for workplace reopening and making sure we're in compliance with those? There was a whole set that came out yesterday.
Right.
Yep. So,
could you address that, please, Bob?
Yeah. So, you know, we did get, you know, in terms of the governor's reopening plan, there is additional guidance that's out there. We're looking at that and trying to determine if there's anything there that we're missing that we haven't already done, and we'll make sure that we're following those practices at the very least, if not, you know, more stringent ones if possible. So.
Okay, and who's charged with that, Bob?
Well, ultimately I would be, but the entire staff will be looking at it as well.
Okay. I think these now certifications, I think, that we have to do and file with the governor's office that we're in compliance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you know, we're looking at that to see whether, as a public transit agency, what difference requirements they have and things like that. So we'll be also talking with MassDOT, you know, with their experience with the MBTA and that.
Okay.
Good. That's great. Onward.
So some future considerations, measures for the members to consider. We continue to monitor the traffic patterns as part of considerations for any schedule changes. We look at a number of items, including what vehicle reservations are out there, what commodities are being transported, passenger accessibilities, the ability to social distance, and what emergency services that we need to be able to provide. At this time, the schedule, the reduced operating schedule, extends out to May 26th. So currently on the Vineyard route, we have the MV Woods Hole and the MV Martha's Vineyard both running a triple crew. So we changed the Martha's Vineyard to a triple crew Thursday of last week. That allows those vessels to run up to 7 round trips per day. Effective on Thursday, the 21st, we'll be adding the MV Island Home to the schedule, and they'll be able to run seven trips a day as well. On the Nantucket route, we have the Eagle and the Gayhead both operating a triple crew, which allows them to run up to 3 round trips a day. Effective the 21st, we'll be adding the Sankaty to the schedule for the Nantucket service. The MV INO in the meanwhile is we're scheduled to resume service with the MV INO on Thursday the 21st in time for Memorial Day weekend. At this time, based on advanced bookings and what we anticipate, we're going to be able to carry with the Island Home and the Sankaty, starting with the schedule on the 21st. We expect that schedule would be sufficient to run that level of service through the remainder of the spring schedule, ending on June 16th. Although we'll continue to monitor it, and if we have to, if there's additional service, additional runs that we need to do, we'll plan accordingly. But at this point, we'd be looking at, once that schedule is ramped up on the 21st, that would be the schedule till June 16th. And I guess in terms of that, just to give a basis of what the determination, some of the determinations that went into that. As I reported earlier, last time the April numbers, passengers were down 84%, autos were down 77%, and trucks were down 58%. For the first 2 weeks of May, passenger traffic is down 73%, so there's been a little uptick there. Automobile traffic is down 60%, and our truck traffic is down 44%. So that equates to about 75,000 passengers for the first 2 weeks, 10,000 automobiles, and 4,000 trucks compared to what we expected the service to be. So that's why, in part, the ramping up of the service, we recognize that we've been having, there's days there where we're at capacity in terms of vehicle space. The numbers we're seeing, however, the passengers are primarily being associated with vehicle traffic. We're not seeing a dramatic increase in the walk-on passengers at this point, but it's primarily passengers that are in vehicles is what we're seeing. I would ask Mark Rosen if he wants to come up and he can give you an update as to the reservation activity and what we're seeing. So.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Mark.
You want to, Sean, pull this one up?
Yeah.
Yes. So on the screen, there's a chart showing the comparison of the reservations as of May 17th from 2019 compared to 2020. So we're looking at in the middle months, we're about 80% for July and August where we were. September and October are pretty close to where we were at this point last time. And I'm hearing from different vendors on both islands as they're seeing a shift from early in the spring to the September-October time period. So we might see a different dynamic once we get some more clarity on what's going to happen, maybe a more robust fall than originally anticipated. You want to show the next one for the comparison, please?
Yeah, 1 second. This one?
This chart has the same data that in the previous chart as of.
Hang on, I need to share it.
I'm sorry. So this chart shows the same data on the previous chart, but it includes the data from the week before, so it shows any growth that we've had week over week. So the blue with the pattern and the red with the patterns, the data as of May 10th, and the solid colors are the data as of May 17th. So we are seeing a small amount of activity, but not nearly what it was for last year. On a side note, I did a query on the cancellations this year for the month of May, and so far we've seen about 4,000 reservations canceled in the month of May. Of that, about 2/3 of them consist in the months of May and June. You want to go with the 7-day moving average? Sorry.
I didn't have them all up. Give me 2 seconds.
Mr. Malkin,
Yes, please.
may I?
Yes, please.
You just mentioned the cancellations, which I was going to ask you about. When we get the daily COVID update, and talks about how many calls go to the call center and what percentage that was of last year. Those calls would include calls from people to cancel. Is that accurate?
That is correct. And they could also cancel on the website. Right now, as far, and I'll go over a slide in a little bit, is that we're seeing probably about a 3.5 to 1 ratio of new money coming in versus cancellation money going out. So if we saw, say, $200,000 in receipts for revenue, we're probably seeing about $50,000, $60,000 in cancellation refunds going out. So we net about $140,000 for that day.
And is that what we show when you on the credit card receipts? Is that the net?
Yeah, that's net. Correct, net receipts.
Is it? I mean, you guys have so much work. I don't want to ask for additional work, but is it possible? But I guess I am asking for it. Is it possible?
You want it on a daily update, yes.
Is it possible to show the cancellations and, you know, the new reservations and the cancellations? I think that's probably a pretty good trend for us to watch.
Sure, we can put something together, yes.
Okay, and that won't take, you know, an extraordinary amount of time. I think it's kind of important for us to look at what the cancellation trend is.
I'll talk to my team and we'll put something together for you.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right, this graph on the screen now is showing the traffic statistics comparison using moving 7-day average for the categories of passengers, automobiles, passenger trucks, and freight. We use the 7-day average so we flatten any spikes comparing a weekday versus a weekend. And you can see the passengers aren't keeping up with the other vehicles as far as growth goes, where we're not really seeing that walk on. Most of the passengers, as Bob mentioned earlier, are associated with the vehicles.
Credit card spend?
Can I just ask a question real quick?
Of course.
Do you think the passenger thing with the vehicles is because they don't want to get out of their car, or that people don't want to just travel freely because of COVID-19 fears?
My personal opinion, I think a lot of it is to do with, as far as day trippers and that nature goes, is what is open, what is them available to do. A good test will be as if the restaurants and the shops can open up on, I believe it's June 8th, from my understanding, is to see an increase there.
Okay.
We're seeing cars go for the weekend, for example, but, you know, looking at our parking revenue, we're off about 90% last month, and that's a correlation to the walk-ons as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. May I, if I may, Rob, what we're seeing over here anecdotally is that the people who are coming in their cars, and they are seasonal residents. And we're just not seeing a lot of people, to Mark's earlier point, who are coming over on a short-term basis, A, because there's no place to go and do anything, and B, because they're not traveling, they're still staying at home. But if I look at the truck numbers coming over, it looks like we're seeing increased trucks bringing food, medicine, supplies, and so on for the seasonal residents who are now here. So that's anecdotal, which would seem to be measured by these numbers.
Gotcha.
In talking with some of the larger freight carriers, and their numbers are corresponding to about where we are. And so, you know, the question we have is some of this, is this pent up demand that we're seeing a short-term spike, or are we going to sustain those numbers?
Thank you, Mark.
And the last chart is showing the credit card receipt, net credit card receipts, as we talked about earlier, from May 1st to as of yesterday.
March 1st.
On March 1st, excuse me. So we can see pre-COVID, we were right around where we should be. Some days a little bit more than last year, some days a little bit less. And then you can see the precipitous drop into April, where some days we had as low as 2% of the previous year's credit card receipts. And for the month of May, we're about 53% of last year. April, we're at 19%. So we're seeing a increase, which is a nice trend to have. And yesterday was the first day since March 10th that we had more credit card receipts for that calendar day than the year before.
Wow.
Granted, it's a Monday versus a Saturday comparison, but we'll take it.
Take the cash.
And I'll answer any questions regarding this information if anyone has any.
That's very helpful. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, so one of the things that, whether it was last meeting or the meeting before, was asked about, what sort of revenue projections are we looking at going forward? So we took the activity for April, and I think Mark will give a quick update as to the April financials when it comes to his time here. So, but we took, updated that revenue, what we saw for April, and then using what we're seeing for traffic revenue as of the 14th of May for the month, using that for this month, we're able to start making, continue to make additional projections. None of these are crystal balls that we know exactly what's happening, but kind of worst case, best case scenario. I think one of the things that everyone needs to be cognizant of is that 50 to 55% of our annual operating revenues are generated from June to September each year. For 2020, the total operating revenues for those 4 months was originally projected to be $64 million, and we have $118 million in operating revenues budgeted for the year. So once we start looking at that, if we're able to get up to, say, 75% of all the categories across the board for starting in June and going for the remainder of the year, it ends up being about a $35 million hit in terms of projections against revenues. If it was to, obviously those summer months being the most telling ones that we have, we'll be looking at this as we go forward. But as of the end of April, we're about $6.5 million behind on our operating revenues versus our budget. So with a net bottom line of $7 million projected for the year, if we were to hit 100% for the remainder of the year, we're going to be right at the number. So we'll continue to monitor it. As part of our continued discussions with MassDOT, along with the Commonwealth's Executive Office of Administration and Finance regarding our financial condition, these are some of the things that we're looking at with them as well, in terms of what projections and how much, what the impact is in terms of our summer business is such a big piece of our overall operations. While our immediate cash needs have been somewhat mitigated by the CARES Act funds, which are expected to be hitting the account today, we'll continue to monitor this, and we'll continue to have weekly or bi-weekly meetings with MassDOT and ANF to discuss our situation, as well as sourcing any potential funding. Most recently, we're working on, since the last time there was a deficit was back in the Kennedy administration, there's some procedural things that we have to get squared away with the administration and finance in terms of what a certification letter needs to be looking like, and also the discussions about our enabling acts, how the funds work, and the trigger points for the reserve fund to be used. And there is a provision in the Enabling Act that requires us to continue to borrow money until the point where the state is able to replenish those funds. So we'll continue to monitor that as we go forward.
Bob, when you're giving us those figures of perhaps a $30 million deficit, did I catch that right? Are you including funds that are forthcoming, about the $10 million stuff? Are you including in that in your figures?
Yeah, so those are those are revenue projections. They're not cash projections. So we deal with both of those. Cash wise, we were putting together a schedule for administration and finance as to what our cash flow looks like. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was to the point where we were getting into under a conservative estimate that we'd be needing to look to utilize that line of credit that's been authorized in September, maybe August. September, excuse me, Mark's telling me the other way, September, October. So cash-wise, but again, these are projections, and what we put on paper to 5 minutes ago could be different 5 minutes from now. So we're just working at a range at this point.
Ms. Wilson.
You're muted.
Thank you.
Thanks. Are you saying that the Enabling Act requires us to borrow as much as we can before we can certify to the Commonwealth that we have a deficit that they need to work with us on?
Yes, so in the Enabling Act, there's a passage in Section 9 that reads, if at any time the authority has not sufficient cash to make payments required in the course of its management and operation of the steamship line and other properties under its control, the authority may temporarily borrow money and issue notes of the authority therefore.
So may, as opposed to must. I don't know how that would. Anyway, it sounds like there are a lot of nuances to that.
Yeah.
So that the Federal Reserve, I'm sorry, Kate, you through?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
So the Federal Reserve funds the 2-year borrowing, if we get it, that would, we would be able probably to set figures in there which were pretty aggressive.
Yeah, so that liquidity program is what, when we saw that, that's what we were thinking about with this passage, that that would be an opportunity to borrow monies at a 0% interest, and then they would have to end up being repaid. But again, we can't do it directly. We have to go through the Commonwealth. So whether they would issue those or we still have to work that out on the procedures to go through on that.
Well, the Federal Reserve would be looking for the individual states to be the backing power for those funds, where individual businesses would apply for those and be responsible for them.
It's just government. It's just for cities, towns, municipalities that it applies to in across the Commonwealth itself. The alternative would be is that if we weren't able to do it through that, then we'd have to issue some revenue anticipation notes in order to fund that. So.
And what are those usually? They're a 6-month or a year note, or what is it?
Yeah, we'd have to work out the timing in terms of, if we get to the point that there is a deficit and the state is going to be stepping in, how long it will take for the state to allocate, reimburse those funds. The other alternative, of course, is that we're looking at other avenues in terms of federal funding. There was a bill that went through the House last week, which includes some funding for transit agencies, and in particular, there's mention of being able to use funds that have previously been awarded for ferries for operating expenses, and we have a couple of those funds out there that we would be able to use as well. That we would just love to be able to turn around and use them for operating instead of capital at this point, capital projects. So.
That's good news, but what does that equal to?
It's about 2.5 million.
Thank you.
Ms. Tierney?
But isn't that the same, isn't that in the same bill that the Senate is unlikely to pass?
Yeah, it is, but kind of hopeful that there will be some sort of semblance of a bill that ends up getting passed that would include that. But you know, with the way things work in Washington at this point, you know,
It's anyone's guess.
Bob, forgive me if I missed this. In terms of the money that was sitting in that ferry bucket in Washington, the $8 billion, how does that tie into this discussion?
There's they had 80 million was the program that, yeah, well, the program that we participate from the ferry standpoint is usually funded at $80 million a year. Our share of that usually works out to be about 1.3 million. It varies based on ridership levels, not only of our own, but all the ferry operators that participate in the program. It's a combination of passengers carried, vehicles carried, and route miles. So in terms of it, the state's delegation, Senator Markey, Senator Warren, Congressman Keating's letter was that that would be an avenue to be able to, if they were able to fund it, be able to get those monies out through that mechanism that's in place, the funding formula that's in place for that. So I think that's where the, I want to say it was $3 billion that they would need to get. I think the bill that the House had done, it had included 15 billion. I think 11 or 12 billion of that was earmarked already, and the 4 billion of it was intended to be for a competitive program. So.
Okay, thank you.
So if there's no other questions on that, just give a quick update on our March numbers, just to wrap that up. Passengers carried for March were down 35.4% versus a year ago. Autos were down 33.2%. Trucks were down 22.5%, and of course, all that's pretty much in the last 2 weeks of the month. Our cars parked, meanwhile, were down 36%. For the financial piece of it, our net operating loss for the month ended up being $5,501,000, or some $1,140,000 more than what we had anticipated in the operating budget. Our operating revenues and other income of $4,158,000 was $979,000 lower than our budget, while our operating expenses and other expenses of $9,659,000 was $161,000 higher than our budget. Year to date through the end of March, the net operating loss was $16,429,000, or some $1,589,000 higher than what we had anticipated. Operating revenues and other income were down $877,000, while our operating expenses and fixed charges was $710,000 higher than what we'd anticipated, with maintenance making up the majority of that. They're up $716,000. So some of the vessel repairs and dry docks with that. So just to give a quick update, and I said, I think Mark will give you a, I don't think the hoping to close, I think, today for April, but I think he has enough numbers to be able to report on those.
Thank you.
So next we have is an update on the Woods Hole Terminal reconstruction project, and we have Bill Cloutier here, and he can go through a slideshow, and then we'll follow up on that.
Morning.
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 Good morning. So Cashman continues to work on the site in a safe manner. And as part of that, they've selected to limit the number of subcontractors on site to keep safe social distancing in place. Consequence of that is we're a bit behind from we're behind last year's progress to date, but we're still moving ahead. So I fully support their effort to keep the site open. The last thing we need is for people to turn up sick on the site and the project to be shut down. So with that, go into the pictures. So just as an example, this is where all the utilities come in to go out to the utility platform.
Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So that catwalk out there goes to the utility platforms for the boat. There's water, sewer, fuel oil, and electricity, shore power. And this corner, this congested corner, is where all those utilities come together before they go out underneath that catwalk. So you can imagine plumbers, electricians, fuel oil people, carpenters, everybody's trying to work in that corner. And that's one of the problems Cashman's having with keeping everybody safe. Next picture. So what you see here is we finally got the forms for the gallows completed and poured. The gallows that's out over the water that is for the transfer bridge. Next. This is just a form here that we have for the ski data, and there's a signage that goes in that that wooden box at some point.
The ski data is our ticketing readers.
Yes. Next. So the bridges arrived. That was about a week ago exactly, last Tuesday. It's in place on dunnage at this point. Over on the right-hand side, you can see the canopy is pretty much coming along quite well. Next. There's the carpenter in that same corner making forms for the concrete pad for all the utilities that are going to be sitting on all the control boxes that are going to be sitting on top of that pad. Next. So the gallows is erected for the transfer bridge. And on the right-hand side, you can see all the, again, the canopy, which is pretty impressive at this point. Next. This is the farm is complete. The rebar's in place on that utility distribution pad. Yeah, I believe it was poured the next day. That was like on Friday, this past Friday. Next. This is an aerial view of the site. It gives you an idea of, the tightness of the site. You guys, a good view of the canopy. All the exterior glass was in place last Friday, and they were installing the a stainless steel gutter, a drainage gutter, through that center beam. Next. This is just another aerial view and a little better picture of the glass roof on the canopy. You can see most of the monopiles by this week. All the monopile work will be done, capping them and welding the pad eyes and the standoffs in place. And probably next week we'll be setting, we'll most likely be setting defenders on those monopiles. Further out, you can see the float is in place. That work is starting now. There's a aluminum deck that goes on that's going to be 10 feet higher than that float. And they're beginning to assemble that on land as we speak. That's just another picture, aerial view, not a great picture. No, sorry. Next, that's it. This is a better view of the canopy and what it looks like from an aerial view. And that's it, I believe. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
how many?
Good.
how-
Sorry, Robert.
How many slips will be available in the summer? Will all 3 of them?
I expect by early July, the latest, we'll have all 3 available. We're running about 3 or 4 weeks behind because of the COVID protocols that we have to follow. Bob?
What about the pad surface and stuff to get onto the docks? I mean, I'm looking there at dirt and stuff.
That schedule, actually, we're going to start probably May 25th, doing the final grading, and we'll be putting down the asphalt thereafter, probably around June 1st.
Okay, so before summer, we'll have
Oh, yeah.
pretty good access.
Yes.
Well, that's great. What would be left to do from there? Plenty, I'm sure, but
Well, the thing that's what we're kind of holding off on is the stonework, the railing, and the railings. So there's extensive railing going around the perimeter of the bulkhead and all around that passenger platform. That's being held off. And once the canopy is pretty much complete, and we expect that to be done around June 1st, then we'll get United Stone to put the pavers down on that passenger platform, and we'll get the railing people in to start installing the railing.
and what is the stonework? Is that subsurface or
No, it's on the passenger platform. It's on that concrete platform. There's a bluish, multicolored bluish hexagon paving that gets fixed into that concrete.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else? Catherine? Ms. Wilson?
Are we able to share design plans for what the periphery is going to look like near that corner where the little park is, and the side of the pier where it on the edge of our property?
I was still working on that, Kate. I'm on my 3rd design on that.
Can we see them while they're a work in progress rather than a final result?
Well,
I think what Bill's referring to is that we still have the bulkhead work in that northern corner to address. And so we've gone through different variations on how best to address the issue there, that we have that obstruction that won't allow us to penetrate with the sheet piles. So, and I think once that's done, I don't believe we've had any changes to what the park area itself is going to be looking like. So if that's the area you want, we can get you the concept there.
Yeah, I think that would be great, and like to share it with people who are interested in that.
Yeah, I have what the park area looks like, Kate, but my biggest problem is the bulkhead. I've gone through, I'm on my 3rd design now because others were too expensive.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have 2. One, given where we are, and thank you for the update, are there any change orders in the pipeline of which we should be aware?
I have a change order log that I share with Mark. There are some changes. as to, just, there are some, yes, that haven't been completed yet.
Okay.
Nothing.
I'll forward the log to the board today.
So, Jim, Mark just said he would forward the log to the board today.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Tierney?
Yes, thank you. Regarding the Cashman change orders, are any of those specifically related to COVID expenses that they're looking to pass on to us?
No.
Well, there's a time piece of it, right?
No, they're not charging us for any of the COVID, PPEs or any of the meetings that they have every day to get their temperatures taken. And they have a meeting every morning, a safety meeting, that's not being passed on to us.
You're certain of that?
Yes, because it came up and we said we weren't going to pay it.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Thank you. I had one follow-up question. When you mentioned the transfer bridges in Woods Hole, we had, as I'm sure everybody's aware, an issue with our cable failure and pulley system in Vineyard Haven. Robert, when you get the investigation done on that issue in terms of what happened, could you share with us what the impact would be in terms of maintenance on the other transfer bridges that would use the same type of system? And so what actions we'll take going forward?
Certainly.
If you would, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I guess the one other item regarding the Woods Hole Terminal project, we have now hit the century mark on weekly community emails. So we've issued 100 at this point.
Ms. Wilson.
I have one question. I think we're not going to be talking about the building, but I have been asked, I know that we've put the design and everything on hold for the update on, the new building. Are there any sort of hidden obligations or hypothetically speaking, if for some reason we as a board decided to do a different building, different size within the same, within the parameters of the permit, do we have any hidden obligations to bondholders or any other commitment that isn't apparent to the board in terms of the size of the building?
So the bonds that we've issued for this project thus far have been just for the marine portion of the project.
Okay.
So in that regard, no. The question would be is, what sort of changes and, again, community input and how that impacts the entire schedule of the building. We still need to, at some point here, we need to sit down with the state building inspector about when the variance for the temporary terminal building is going to be expiring. And we need to get that resolved before we make a determination, I think, as to, I think that's the more immediate thing at this point, making sure that we had that variance out to at least the length of time that we believe it should be.
Yep, I just wanted to clarify whether there was anything, that we weren't aware of that would limit our ability to make changes. Setting aside, all the other issues, whether there was anything in particular that we just weren't aware of.
Yeah, of course, we'll have to, the building, state building inspector, the plumbing inspector, and all that will obviously have a say as to, what those requirements are for the buildings. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Onward.
Okay, so next one is an update on the vessel dry dock and repairs. So have Mark come up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mark.
So we have, maybe we get to the slideshow, see some of the progress on, we have the MV Nantucket.
Let's make sure I can say first.
Everyone can see the MV Nantucket right now?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have the MV Nantucket it is undocked last week at Thames Shipyard, and she is preparing on this Friday for the transit voyage back to the repair facility in Fairhaven. Next slide. This is a photograph. We took the bow and stern freight doors off for a major overhaul, and this is a picture of the assembled forward door being placed back in service. And we finished all the coatings and they've all been applied. So Nantucket looks in good shape for her intended operating season. Again, she's been undocked. This is a picture of the finished product on the underwater side. You can see the port rudder and port propeller. And this is an update on the MV Nantucket repair costs analysis. So a breakdown of it is the original contract was, you lost me, was 1.29 million, and we've had 560,000 in credits. And this is really a variation of the specification versus what work was actually done. And for a total of grand total contract items, credits, and change orders of 1.658 million. The difference between the contract and where we are is we are getting the vessels ready for our quality management system audits next year. So we've found a number of items that have much, the basis of the QMS program is preventive maintenance. So we're preparing the vessels for the audit for next year. And that is where we are. We're going to have a good product delivered out of the Nantucket. Any questions?
These funds, do they just come out of our capital fund budget, or were these included in a bond?
Now, these are all operating expenses.
Operating expenses, yep. Okay. So when we get that $10 million, we can subtract that right off the bat.
It's the cost of these dry docks of the vessels are very significant in terms of our operation, and I think that's part of the reason as we look at this. Our overall financial position, it's difficult to be able to cut enough expenses to be able to match loss in the revenue. And as a case in point, here we have a close to a $2 million dry dock of a vessel, and that happens every 2 years on these vessels. So.
Yeah, I'm not questioning the need. I'm just making a comment on cash flow.
Yeah.
Yep. Ms. Wilson.
I think that the preventative maintenance approach is really important, particularly given the age of our vessels and the dramas and complications we've had over the past couple of years. So I approve of that approach.
And I think that part of this being is that we do have the project engineer in house now. So I know Mark's been working with him, and they've been working with the port engineers and also the vessel chief engineers and captains to make sure that as we prepare these projects, these bid packages, that we're addressing the items that need to be addressed. So, for instance, I think one of the things that is a change order on this particular vessel was the bow and stern door.
Right.
That was something that after the boat got there, or shortly before it got there, when they did an evaluation, they realized that those doors needed attention, and between removing them, blasting them, refurbishing them, I think probably we're probably looking at a couple $100,000 just on those doors. Integral to the vessel operations. So.
What's the state of the governor? Will the governor be in service this summer?
At this point, we still have it in layup status. We're monitoring what the traffic needs are. We need to get the Island Home completed and then the Nantucket completed. And with those should be, the Island Home is going to be on the run on Thursday, and then the Nantucket, once it gets back, has a couple weeks of repair, cleaning up and overhaul that our crews need to do. So it probably won't be until June at this point that we'll make a determination whether we're going to be needing the governor this season, and if so, what how much work needs to be done. So we did have the engines evaluated, and at this point, the sense is that the engines do not need to be overhauled. So that would have been a big ticket item as well as a costly item as well. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Rainey?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Amundson for his hard work and his oversight on these projects. I know it's difficult, and we appreciate the knowledge and background that you bring to this. Thank you.
I was
second that.
Yeah, I was going to go the same place. I was very impressed with the conversations that I've had with Mark, and listening to him talk to the Port Council at their last meeting, where he talked about the need for preventive maintenance as well as the costs associated there too. But if we spec this stuff out right when we go into a shipyard and we've done the preventive maintenance, then we're not going to have these cost overruns and these change orders. So onward, and I look forward to seeing the results of that work.
And also, we have to get ready for our audits next year with the implementation of the quality management system.
All right. Correct. Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Okay, so next item is Oak Bluffs pier repair. So we'll leave Mark up here as well. The contractor was on site yesterday. We brought the container out of Fairhaven to be able to get the equipment over that they needed to Oak Bluffs. They did an evaluation while they were there. I checked this morning. They are already at work. My understanding is that the piles have been delivered. They're not on island. They're at one of our properties here in Falmouth. We'll be making arrangements to get those over there in time for them to when they're needed. And the lumber for the materials for the cap is June 2nd.
June 2nd, that's correct.
The updated date for that material is June 2nd. I think originally it was June 8th. So
right,
that's a good direction there. So again, they're just beginning day 2 of their work there. So
yeah, we expect to be driving pilings early next week.
Did check with the VTA. They have been running service, meeting our boats in Vineyard Haven and providing service over to Oak Bluffs for our vessels at this point. Sorry, I just realized we had gotten a proposal from C Street to provide passenger service. They were looking for up to $11,000 a day, depending upon for the small boat, and $17,000 a day for their bigger boat. In light of the governor's opening plans, we don't see that there'd be a big surge of passenger increase for that, and we do have sufficient passenger capacity on our vessels as is. If the board would like, we'll review that. We can review that and see. But I think from a cost standpoint, it's prohibitive in terms of running that type of service.
Good, onward.
Okay, next item we have is regarding approval of a waiver for Article 10I of the license agreement with Freedom Cruise Lines, and Terrence can jump in here too. And I see that the president of Freedom Cruise, Jack Sheridan, is on the line as well. So I think Sean's going to bring him in here. You can find him.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay. So by way of background, Freedom Cruise Line operates seasonal service from Howardsport to Nantucket. They've been doing so for, I don't know, 10, 15 years anyways. They were looking at their traffic numbers in terms of what they were seeing. They're also taking into account what Nantucket was considering for passenger traffic as well. And so Jack reached out and asked, pointed out that in the license agreement, there's a section in there that's specific that if they weren't to provide service for 30 days, that it's subject to be revoked. And want to know what our position would be on that. I think his intent, not speaking for Jack, I think his idea would be that he would prefer to wait until the end of June before starting service, but if it was going to impact his license, he wanted to know because he would make alternative arrangements. So I think I know whether Terry or Jack have anything to add in this regard, but I think we're looking at this, and it doesn't seem like it, to be with the passenger traffic the way it is, to be forcing them to operate under the circumstances, thinking it should be waived. But Jack.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'd reached out to Bob back in, I think on the 1st of the month, and really kind of 3 concerns that I have about operating. I wanted to point out, Bob, that it's been over 25 years, so time flies with the Freedom. 1994, I believe, was the first boat out of Harwich. But 3 things. One is the safety of my passengers and my staff. Coming out of Saquatucket Harbor, where we operate, we have a maximum of a 65-foot boat. So I'm on a much smaller platform than all the other boats going to Nantucket. So social distancing will be difficult. We have a plan for cleaning and spreading people out. That's one factor. The second one would be demand. A lot of our passengers are day trippers that visit the lower and outer Cape. I work closely with hotels and innkeepers and such, which are currently closed. So my pre-bookings for the year to date are down over 90%. So we really don't have the passengers as of now to go. And of that 90%, I have not one booked for Memorial Day weekend. And the entire month of June, I have 2 round trips and a one-way that are currently booked. So it's a pretty tough season coming off of our best season ever. Hopefully this will be the worst in my career, and the best is yet to come. The third thing is, I think Mr. Malkin brought up earlier with day trippers. Really, these people are coming down to Cape Cod, spending their week, taking a day going to Nantucket to go to the restaurants and shops, of which none of that's open. So I've been in touch with the Chamber of Commerce and selectmen in Nantucket, and I really want to wait till arms are open for day trippers to go over to Nantucket. So I think at this point, I'm going to look for a July 1st start date. I really don't want to take the season off because I want to keep that momentum that we've built over these many years. and keep the name out there. And I don't want people to think that the Freedom shut down at a Harwich. So I'd like to, at this point, look at a July 1st start and reevaluate if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Sharon.
Thank you.
Do any of the members have any comments or questions?
I would certainly support his request. It's only logical. Going back a little bit historically, when C Street came into being, and they, came in with 2 boats year round. The next year, there was 1 boat year round, and the year after that, it was seasonal when they look at what the market will bear. And the market is not bearing anything these days. So preserve his capital, preserve his health, and I think his request should be granted.
Thank you.
I will make a motion to that effect.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay. There's a second. Any further discussion by members of the board? Hearing none, it comes to a vote.
Jones, aye.
Okay.
Randy, aye.
Randy, aye. Malkin, aye.
Tierney, aye.
I think we had everything.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you on the island.
Thank you, Mr. Sharon.
Thanks, Jack.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
If I may, on this item, as I look at who's attending, I do see that we have representative from C Street, as well as I think I saw someone from Highline. Yesterday, I did get a phone call from Murray Scudder regarding their plans for the Vineyard service. They had planned on starting service at the end of this week on the Vineyard route, but the reservation request at this point is so dismal that they were looking to delay starting that service until sometime in June. As part of that, they had mentioned, I thought I was going to be getting an email, but as of 10 o'clock this morning, I hadn't seen one, that Highline was agreeable if C Street wanted to, as they provide service from New Bedford to Nantucket with a stop off in Oak Bluffs. They're agreeable to having C Street provide that service if anyone so desired to do the inter-island service just for the time period that Highline was out. And again, I don't know whether anyone from Highline, I thought I saw someone on the list, but if any of them want to mention anything. And the other issue is with C Street is depending upon how long they plan, they've delayed their start of their New York to the island service. And I think last I looked, it was less than 30 days, but if that was to be delayed any longer, they similarly would be in the same position. So I think we got John Sylvia with C Street on the line. I don't know if he has anything to add or not.
Mr. Sylvia, you wish to speak to the members?
He's muted.
He's not muted. John, are you there? Says he's there.
Yeah. Must be away.
Well, it's showing up.
Might have stepped away from his screen.
So I think
Let's proceed.
my understanding of what they were thinking of doing is that the C Street would work it out. There we go.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. I was little technical difficulties with my computer.
What do you think about that?
I know. Gotta love Zoom, right? So we did have a conversation with Murray and with Highline. We are offering, our boats are going that way anyway. So what we had suggested with him is if he wanted to continue that service, we'd be more than willing to accept his tickets on our vessel for anyone that's going inter-island. So my apologies, Bob. I do have an email coming to you. It will get to you today. So, with the board's approval, we would be requesting to just, be able to pick passengers up in either the Vineyard or Nantucket and drop them off on the other island. C Streak would not be selling tickets for this service. Highline would continue to sell the tickets. We would just collect their tickets and bring the passengers over.
And it's just during the regular scheduled trips anyways, so.
Correct. Yep, and just until Highline's back in operation.
Any of the members have any questions, comments?
I totally like the spirit of cooperation amongst the licensees, and I think that speaks well of the whole system. Personally, I have no problem going along with both requests, as we did our first request. So I would so make a motion if you wish, or let somebody else do that, but that's my feeling at this point.
Yeah, I in terms of that, I think it's almost like ends up being a charter, so I don't think it's necessary that the board has to vote on it unless they choose to. But I think just the understanding that they would be running the service for Highline while Highline is not running it themselves.
Well, if that's agreeable with you, Bob, as the general manager, it's fine with me.
Mr. Rainey, you had your hand up?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the cooperation. I don't see, because most of these people are going to be day trippers going back and forth, so I don't see a big impact here, but I appreciate the coordination between the two and their willingness to work together.
Okay.
Thank you.
And any other member? Well, if everybody seems to be comfortable with this, Bob, and you don't need a vote, let's proceed. And thank you, Mr. Silva.
Thank you.
Sean.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
We do need a vote for the first one, is that right?
You did vote for the first one already.
Okay.
Yeah, we're set.
All right. Mr. Davis?
I think that's it for me. I think we turn it over to Mark at this point.
That'd be great.
Hello again. So I wanted to touch base on the April numbers that we closed out this past weekend. So we saw for the month of April a decrease in revenues of about 5.6 million or 70%. Making up that revenue deficit was passenger cars were down about 1.6 million or 76%. Freight vehicles were down about 1.6 million as well, about 52%. Passenger revenue was down about 1.8 million or 86%. And total terminal revenues, including parking revenue, was down about 450,000 or 75%. Operating expenses were also down about 1.7 million, which brings our net revenue for the month of April a loss of 5.3 million or 3.9 million worse than expected.
Right.
Do you serve Tums?
No.
No. So that's where we stand for April right now, and we'll have with the business summary, we'll give more detail on that.
Okay.
And then I wanted to follow up on to let everyone know where we stand with the audit. Last year, we implemented a new accounting system back in April. So we had 3 months, 4 months on the old system and 8 months on the new system. So as part of the audit, not only did we have to do our normal financial reporting, we also had to show the tie-in between the old system and the new system. We also implemented a new payroll system in January of 2020. At the same time, we were prepping our year-end close, which stretched our staff thin between making sure everyone was being paid right, the calculations were being done right, and all the correct money was going to the proper governmental entities. We closed our 2019 numbers on February 7th. We had the outside auditing firm here from February 10th through February 21st. Along the lines, due to COVID during this time period, we've had to let about 40% of our accounting staff be furloughed. So it's kind of stretched us. A lot of our employees are working remotely, same with RSM. So candidly, we're not as efficient as we have been. And I take responsibility being in charge of the department. It falls on me. And I'm not as quick as the predecessor to my right, Bob Davis, seeing how he's done it for extensively longer than I have. One issue that we have had as far as that's impacted some of the timing on the report is that on April 22nd, we had we're informed by our audit firm that we should be using a new mortality table for the pension. The past table we've been using for the last 4 years is on the private sector, and then in January of 2019, and later in February 19, it came out with a revised form for municipal employees. So we received the updated reports on May 1st, and then a revised one on May 4th, and we've made the corresponding entries, which RSM has signed off on. So right now we have all the schedules, the financial documents they need, and just a little asking for support documents to verify the numbers that they have. That's where we stand right now. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the process. And on one other thing is that on May 11th, they assigned an additional senior associate to help wrap up. I talked with our audit manager to see how we're doing compared to everyone else. She's managing 5 other nonprofit/government entities, and they're all trying to close in May, and they're all running up against some similar hurdles as far as the impacts of what's going on in society right now.
Ms. Tennant.
Yes. Is the life expectancy of a municipal employee shorter or longer than a private employee?
I'm going to disagree with the table right now. It says we're going to live longer. The current condition, I don't know if that's the case, but we've got to live longer, and we did see an increased liability of about $2 million.
To our pension, right?
Liability, yes, on the balance sheet.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Rob.
I just have a quick comment. I just want to thank Mark for all his hard work and diligence on this. I know that it's an extremely stressful time, and I think that you are doing an incredible job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next year, we'll do a better job now that everyone's more familiar with the new system, where the reports are, of getting this out in a more timely fashion. My apologies.
Thank you, Mark. That certainly helps ease my mind. Do you have a estimated date from the RSM in terms of when they think this will be complete?
I will follow up with them. Yesterday, I saw the cash flow statement come through with just minor changes, nothing of materiality, and I'm not aware of any material changes at this point. I've talked to our team and I've talked to them. So our goal is still to push for the end of the month. So we're doing everything we can.
Thank you. Any other member have any questions of Mark? Since he's packing up his papers over there.
Less is more.
Okay.
Go quickly.
He's fleeing. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Is there anything further in open session? Catherine?
There was a question that was raised by someone who called in last week about a request for an extension of off-season rates and in some manner to offer some relief to people on the island who weren't able to travel because of the COVID impact. Where are we with that?
Okay, well, yeah, I have that. We were looking at what, if anything, we would be able to do without having to have a lot of programming changes made to the system. We looked at what activity we typically see in May and June. If we were to extend it through the month of June at the off-season rates, for instance, we're looking at, based on last year's numbers, we're looking at over $250,000 hit on the revenue side. On the basis that if we're at 50% of our automobile traffic, it's $125,000. We're looking at perhaps between now and June 14th as being the time frame. And if we were to do something there where we would extend that that off-season rate through then, and part of this is looking at what reservation activity is out there. It does no good if we roll back the rate and we don't have space available. So, but we do think that there is this space out there, so on the need to be able to travel. So, if we were to do it up until the 14th, we're looking at. Sorry, it'd be about a $80,000 gesture at that point to roll those rates back for the two islands to the off-season rate to accommodate our patrons that weren't able to travel because of the COVID.
And that would be an unlimited application, sort of, so it's a time frame instead of, say, allocating some number to, I don't know how you'd work that out, but one of the suggestions was that either a person could have 1, 2 round, what am I trying to say? Two-way
multiple trips, right?
Right.
In order to do that, there'd have to be a couple programming changes that would have to be made, and the time frame to be able to turn those around and get those. We're thinking that if we were to offer it for a limited time, that would probably be the quickest and
easiest to implement.
And if it is truly because of not being able to go to doctor's appointments in April, we'd anticipate that those doctor's appointments would be rescheduled as soon as possible. So therefore, to do it in the next 3 weeks or so might be an appropriate thing to do.
Ms. Cheney?
I would, if you do something like that, I would suggest that we do it till date certain. This is, this is a kind of a vote out of your hat and not out of a good business decision.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to go with my heart on this, and it's got nothing to do with my business decision. So my suggestion would be to go to a date certain.
Ms. Cheney?
Well, first of all, Kate, thank you for remembering that, because I think it's really important. Really important. Have you looked at how much it would be through June 21st?
It'd probably be about another $30,000.
Okay.
$30,000 a week.
It's roughly about $30,000 a week for every week that we would do it.
Okay.
On the basis that, based on last year's excursion travel during this time period, and taking into account that we're seeing 50% of the vehicle traffic that we normally would be. So
this is assuming 50% of the traffic of last year?
Yes.
So it would be 110,000 if you did it through June 21st?
Yeah, 110, 120,000, yes.
Okay. I think it's something that we certainly have to consider. Especially, and I asked about June 21st only because with the governor's reopening plan, the social, I think we sort of need that extra week. I mean, if we're going to do something, we need to do something. That leaves us almost a month from today that we're doing it. If we vote on it today, and I don't know if we can vote on it today, can we? Or do we need to, or is this something you could do, Bob?
I think it would be something that the board would have to vote on, because it would involve a significant adjustment in the rate.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rainey's next.
Sorry.
Just to be clear, so this is only for existing excursion profile holders, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
And the calculation of how much this costs, how to say this. So if our boats aren't already filled and these people don't make the trip, then we have zero revenue. from those people. Whereas if those people traveling on the off-season rate on this extended time would travel, but they wouldn't otherwise travel, then we're still getting, it's still a net positive for us, right?
It would be incremental revenue under that scenario, yes.
Yeah.
Except that unless we have to add additional trips.
Right.
Right.
What's the differential in rates?
It's about double.
Excuse me?
I think it's about $30 on the Vineyard route and $60 on the Nantucket route off the top of my head.
Okay, and now is this going to be for just anybody that's traveling?
It'd only be
Yeah.
people who are eligible for the excursion rate. So they
Okay.
have to start on island and they have to complete their travel within 30 days.
So basically, it's meant to help the islanders, right?
Correct. This is the program that we have for the excursion. So, over the years, those excursion rates pay for about 30 to 35% of the cost of the service for that space on an annual basis. So this would just be to extend that off-season rate for another, 3 weeks until the 21st. It would take us, in terms of doing it, we'd have to go in and create fare files for those. So it'd probably take us a day or two to get those done. So it wouldn't be, if you voted on it today, it wouldn't be something that would be in effect until Thursday or Friday.
Better vote on it today.
Yes.
Just a,
Mr. Ray.
just a quick point. So normally you have the 30-day window. So in this case, we're actually going to have less than that. So you guys are going to make sure that whoever's booking this now doesn't extend past the time limit that we set?
The 30 days is based on their start date. They could start on, if it was extended to June 21st, they could leave the island on June 21st, and as long as they return within 30 days, they would still get that rate.
Okay.
Well, I'd make a motion that we grant this before I change my mind.
Yeah, I'll second that. Motion.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second.
Is that to the 21st, June 21st?
That's correct. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, comes to a vote. Voice vote, please.
Wilson, I.
Jones, aye.
Randy, aye.
Kearney, aye.
Malkin, aye. Thank you all. And thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Wilson. Mr. Davis?
I think that's all I had.
Okay. Well, at that point, or given that, we now will go, I will read the notice. We have an executive session scheduled.
Is there, we do have some public comment.
Good point.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before we go into public comment,
Yeah.
I would like to make a recommendation that the board draft a letter to all of our employees that are carrying us through this whole pandemic and the work they've been doing for us, and thanking them, and have it posted wherever people can see it.
Do you want to draft that? I mean, I think that's a great idea. Would you draft that up?
We got people hired on the staff that draft that stuff.
To draft it for themselves?
That is my thumbs up over here, Bob. I'll work with that on you, with you on that.
Okay. Unless there's any objection, I think the board would go along with that.
Yep.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Great. Great idea, Robert. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Go forward on that. And we're not taking any public comment or questions.
Yeah. Mr. Salzberg?
Oh, hi. I've got a couple questions for Mr. Davis and a couple questions for Mr. Amundson if he's still available.
Okay.
He just jumped out a window. No, it's kidding.
As far as Mr. Davis is concerned, my question would be, a few meetings back, you mentioned the figure of possibly $60 million if ridership didn't change and if you didn't get outside capital as a ceiling for a projection. Is that still in the cards now based on what you folks were looking at, or is that gone by the wayside and are you looking at lower numbers now? I heard you mention earlier 35 million, which seemed like a much better, well, not much better in relatively speaking figure.
I was trying to be the glass half full type of guy. The glass half empty perspective is that if we were to continue with the same traffic levels that we have now for May and just a slight increase each month going forward, we do still see that $60 million as being a possibility. So again, the 4 months of the summer, June, July, August, and September are such a big part of our operating budget revenue-wise. That's going to be the telling piece of it. So, but yes, I think the 35 million was if we're able to jump up to 75% ridership across the board. A different scenario would be is if the continuation of the levels that we have now on what that impact is.
Understood. And my other question for you, sir, is does the Steamship Authority still retain the records and documents from 1962 and 1963 when it did have to when it did have the deficit and it did have to work the assessment mechanism with the Commonwealth? Are those records still extant today? Were they retained?
So what I was able to locate was a spreadsheet with the calculations on the deficit. What I was not able to obtain as of yet was a copy of whatever certification was made to the Commonwealth at that time. The Commonwealth, the Administration of Finance was trying to see if they could get a copy of that. But in the meantime, we've been working with the Bond Council and Administration of Finance on a new letter that would be more appropriate for the circumstances.
Understood. Were there some records of that type that did not make it from the old terminal, old headquarters to the new headquarters? Were some records discarded?
No, the records were retained. It's just a matter of how they ended up getting filed, and it's not quite the same file. Things got moved around.
I would imagine they were paper records in 1962, right?
Correct. And again, the records that I was able to find were in my old treasurer's files from I think.
Manual ledger.
Yeah, it was a manual ledger back then, and it was I think it was the treasurer back then was Mr. Look, and
Understood. My other two questions are for Mr. Amundson, if he is available.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if you could speak in some detail about what was done to the doors of the MV Nantucket, what needed to be done, what repairs were made.
Sure. First of all, we brought in the maker's representative from McGregor and did a condition assessment. Took the doors, both sets of doors off in the dry dock, blasted and coated them, and did some structural steel repairs. Placed new gaskets and placed back on the vessel. So these doors should be good for a 5-year period to our next major dry docking.
Thank you. And concerning the MV Island Home, which is, I understand, slated to re-enter service In the past, there had been some electrolysis trouble with the grid coolers on that vessel. I'm wondering if you could speak to the health of the grid coolers currently on that vessel, and if you have any idea what it was that triggered those problems with the grid coolers previously.
All the grid coolers were taken off in shipyard, and they have to be properly insulated to prevent electrolysis. We put in all new insulation kits and were tested prior to undocking. I suspect that we should have a good run this season on them.
Do you have any idea what's causing the electrolysis, where the electricity is coming from?
Well, there was a grounding between the hull and actually the cooler itself, which is the path. They have to be insulated to be effective.
Understood. Thank you.
Well,
Okay, next up we've got Bob Morris. Bob, you have to unmute yourself. Bob, are you there?
No. Yeah, it happened last week. Yeah.
All right, Bob, I'll come back. Are you there?
Who are you talking to?
Bob Morris, excuse me. Yeah,
I
I'm
heard-
shouting and half the room turns its head. I understand that. All right, we'll come back. And then I've got Francine. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to the board for the extension of the excursion fare relief. And you have my gratitude, and thanks for hearing what could be of benefit to our islanders, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you so
Our
much.
pleasure.
Okay.
I'm gonna try Bob Morris one more time here. Hang on. Bob Morris, are you there? Okay, we got
Not hearing.
one more here. Noah Asimo.
Hi. Have you guys you might have mentioned this earlier, but I might have missed it. Have you guys heard anything from the state definitively about whether they're going to help with the aid request or from the federal government yet? And if not, what's sort of the sense you're getting on that?
So in terms of it, we continue to have those discussions with administration and finance. As an the first step was to evaluate the language in the Enabling Act. They do recognize that there's an obligation there. But in terms of being able to identify what that number ends up being, part of it is that we have to wait to see what traffic levels we'll be having this season, and also where we're, what expenses we're able to contain. So.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like it.
Mr. Morris seems to be muted from what I see on the screen, but if that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I'll try one more time. He's unmuted. Bob Morris, are you there? No.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Okay, after almost 2 hours, we're going to go into executive session, and unless anyone has anything further to discuss in open session, we'll go into executive session. We will not return to open session, I believe. And I need to read a statement into the record. Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss and approve the minutes of the authorities meeting in executive session on the 28th of April, 2020, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, to discuss the authority's strategy with respect to collective bargaining matters and with respect to potential litigation matters, because a public discussion of these matters may have a detrimental effect on the authority's negotiating and bargaining position. The matters include potential for litigation with Senesco Marine LLC regarding contract number 02-2020, overhaul and dry dock of the motor vessel Katama. Potential for the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property located at 0 Thomas B. Flanders Road, Falmouth, Mass. Potential for the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property located at 0 Research Road, Falmouth, Mass. Potential for the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property located at 509 Falmouth Road, Falmouth, Mass. And anticipated negotiation with the unions, Teamsters Local 59, SEIU Local 888, and the MEBA, of all the authorities represented employees regarding the potential continuation of health insurance benefits for furloughed employees due to COVID-19 virus pandemic. Public disclosure of any more information with respect to these matters would compromise the purposes for which the executive session is being called. And after the conclusion, we will not reconvene in public. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think you had 509 Falmouth Road in Falmouth. That should be 509 Falmouth Road in Mashpee.
It says Falmouth on his thing, but it is.
I think it says Falmouth.
Yes, I read what was in front of me. Thank you for correcting the record.
Yeah. What you were provided was incorrect.
That's okay. That's fine.
Why wouldn't there be?
Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Anyone?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Okay, take a vote to go into executive session, please. So move.
Jones, aye.
Tierney, aye.
Thank you. Malkin, aye. I think that's it. The ayes have it.
So I'll end this webinar. Why don't you plan to sign back in in about 10 minutes to get started for executive session?
Okay, so that, go ahead.
Just
12 noon?
So just sign back into the same webinar in about 10 minutes.
12 noon. 12:02. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.